Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today we're exploring some pretty insightful stuff from Coach Dave, all about health and well-being.
Yeah, this is one of those topics everyone's interested in, right? Like, who doesn't want to feel healthier and happier?
Exactly. And what I found so interesting about Coach Dave's take is this idea that it all starts with self-awareness.
Yeah.
He actually uses this really cool metaphor comparing life to a ship on the sea.
Oh, I love that. I remember reading about that. It's like, imagine you're on this ship, but you have no clue where you are, what direction you're going, or even what the weather's doing.
Right, you're just totally adrift. And Coach Dave's point is that without self-awareness, we're kind of like that ship, just drifting through life without any real control.
And it makes total sense when you think about it. If you're not aware of your current state, your habits, your reactions, how can you possibly make choices that lead to better health?
It's like trying to steer a ship with a blindfold on. So Coach Dave really emphasizes that self-awareness is like the foundation, the anchor of good health.
And he's not just talking about physical health either. He's talking about mental, emotional, the whole package.
Absolutely. And this is where things get really interesting because Coach Dave takes this idea of awareness even further. He talks about becoming aware of our thoughts, our habits, our reactions, all those things that are constantly happening inside us.
It's like becoming aware of the internal landscape, right? And, there's actual science that backs this up. Studies have shown that practices like mindfulness, which cultivate self-awareness, can have a real impact on our well-being.
Oh, yeah, I've read about that too. Like mindfulness can actually reduce stress hormones and even lead to changes in the brain that help us focus and regulate our emotions better.
Exactly. So it's not just some vague feel-good concept. There's real evidence that being more aware can lead to tangible improvements in our health.
Totally. And one of the things that really stood out to me from Coach Dave's work is this idea of time awareness. Have you ever felt like you're just letting hours slip away without really being conscious of how you're spending them?
Oh, all the time, especially with all the distractions we have nowadays. Social media, streaming services, it's so easy to lose track of time.
It's like being on that ship again, but
Yeah.
never checking the compass or the time, right? And Coach Dave points out that without time awareness, we can end up making choices that don't really serve us.
He uses this phrase time theft, which I thought was really powerful, because when we're not mindful of how we're spending our time, it's almost like we're robbing ourselves of opportunities to do things that truly matter.
That's such a great point. It's like we might spend hours scrolling through social media or binge watching a show and then wonder where the time went. But if we had been more aware, maybe we would have spent that time going for a walk, cooking a healthy meal, or connecting with loved ones.
And Coach Dave provides some really practical tips for cultivating time awareness, like keeping a thought journal or setting reminders throughout the day to just check in with yourself.
I remember him talking about something called an intentional pause, right?
Yes. It's the simple but powerful technique. Basically, you set a timer to go off a few times throughout the day, and when it does, you just take a moment to pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, where am I right now? What am I doing? And is this how I want to be spending my time?
It's like a little nudge to step back and become aware of what's actually happening rather than just going through the motions on autopilot.
And that brings us back to that idea we talked about earlier. Self-awareness is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. It's like constantly adjusting the sails of our ship to navigate the changing winds and currents of life.
Which means that those everyday choices, even the seemingly small ones, become really important. Coach Dave talks about how even habits like constantly checking your phone during meals or always skipping breakfast can impact our well-being.
It's easy to overlook those things, but they can contribute to stress, digestive issues, and just an overall sense of being out of balance.
Right. And on the flip side, becoming aware of those habits gives us the power to change them. Like instead of mindlessly scrolling through our phone during dinner, we can choose to put it away and savor each bite of our food.
And instead of skipping breakfast because we're rushed, we can try setting aside a few minutes to have a mindful breakfast routine. It's about making those small but intentional shifts that, over time, can have a huge impact on our health.
What are some of those small shifts that you found helpful in your own life?
The intentional pause has been a game changer for me. Just having those little reminders throughout the day to check in with myself and make sure I'm actually spending my time in a way that aligns with my values has been incredibly helpful.
I think I'm going to try that too. It's such a simple idea, but I can already see how it could make a big difference.
And that's what I appreciate about Coach Dave's approach. He doesn't overwhelm us with these huge, complicated changes. He just encourages us to start small, to focus on one thought or action at a time.
Exactly. Like even taking a mindful walk today or paying attention to our breath for a few minutes can be a step in the right direction.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a question that Coach Dave poses. Think about your own course in life. Where are you headed? And how can you use this idea of increased awareness to make choices that steer you towards a healthier and more fulfilling destination?
That's a great question to ponder. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference when it comes to our well-being. Until next time.